Hey, everybody, it's Ben and Rob from Edge of Wonder on Rise.tv. Is it time to say goodbye to the incandescent light bulb? President Biden passed a law banning their sale in order to help stop climate change.
But is there a deeper reason for the ban? Who's really losing out? And what does this mean for the companies who make them?
Next, on the topic of bans, Canada passed the Online News Act requiring social media platforms to pay news outlets. In retaliation, Meta blocked Canadians from viewing and sharing news content on Facebook entirely.
Then in other news, News Nation asked Lockheed Martin about reverse engineering technology from alien craft. Interestingly, the response is both vague and shocking at the same time. So tune in for that.
Plus, we'll talk about Antarctica trending on Twitter because of unusual weather temperatures and some mysterious facts about how ancient pyramids may have been found there that connect to the Giza pyramids in Egypt. Why didn't people know this information before? Or was that hidden from us too?
Yeah, I think we did mention it at some point on the show. We've had so many shows, it's hard to say. But anyway,
what haven't we mentioned, Ben?
Yeah, I know, really. Well, join us on this Edge of Wonder live show as we uncover all of this, plus a live Q&A and a meditation/prayer only on Rise.tv. So we'll see you guys out
on the edge.
Wow. And if you're listening to our Edge of Wonder podcast, please give us a 5-star rating and review so we can keep making this awesome content and reach more people.
You know what I'm really sad about, Ben? I'm sad that in the very near future, the type of light bulb people are going to draw above people's heads when they have an idea is going to be some lame LED light bulb, one of those spirally things. It's not even going to be a normal light bulb.
Well, the really ironic thing about all of this is that Rob and I actually filmed a new series, The Lightbulb Conspiracy, which haven't even came out yet.
Yeah, I mean, in case you guys haven't seen, we're usually like exactly ahead of something that's about to happen, which is this like very strange thing that we've been experiencing since we started.
We just did it with the reptilians too. We're like, oh, let's write about reptilians, and all of a sudden, the crazy lady on the plane comes out.
Yeah.
And we already, it was like, we already recorded it. And it was like, wow, that's so weird, you know? But
this incandescent light bulb thing, though, it's disturbing. I mean, government, I really do feel like this is beyond government overreach. Like you do need to let people choose. Like you don't get to, it's like a parent overstepping their child after they're 18 and making decisions for them for their lives. At a certain point, the child moves out and is like, screw you to their parents. You know?
And like the goal is to get all the light bulb manufacturers to switch over to LED lights, I guess, because they last longer. And
yeah, but that's a conspiracy in of itself.
Yeah, I mean, and without like giving too much away, I mean, there's so much to the light bulb conspiracy, but the gist of it, if you guys haven't heard about it, is that there's a light bulb that's been on for now 120 years and it has not turned off. And so it's like, you know, and then what happened during all that and how the light bulb manufacturing industry has been the most, what I want to say, it's been the most controlled out of any industry on the planet. And through that, all these other industry, it just influenced all these other companies. Because it was like, if we can make a light bulb last forever, everyone will go out of business. So let's make it so they last only a specific time, and then you have to buy a new one.
Ben, you're our resident light bulb expert here. So we've got a comment over on YouTube. I would like to hear your reaction to this. So the comment is from Co-Create Happy. It says, guys, I read about incandescent light bulbs and many of them also had mercury in them, so not safer. What do you say to that, Ben?
Well, that's what they're trying to get rid of, the incandescent light bulbs.
No, but what do you think? Like,
with the mercury?
Yeah, like were there mercury in a lot of them? Are they actually not safer? Like, what do you think?
I mean, that's on the surface, that's what the excuse that they're using. I know that there's a lot of chemicals and really harsh metals inside of those. And they have been known to cause headaches for some people too. Especially like hospital. I can't stand hospital lights. They're those really bright, super bright lights, and they're the same thing with malls. Like you walk in a store and it's really super bright in the store and everything. And those are usually those light bulbs, or the long tube ones. Those are the ones that are supposedly have more of the chemicals in them. Now, I'm kind of confused myself. Like, what does this mean? I guess it's banning all incandescent light bulbs, but your average light bulb that you're screwing into a socket is incandescent.
Okay, but banning,
Yeah.
like that's not okay. Imagine just like we have a studio. We have like specific looks we're going for in our backgrounds while we're trying to, maintain a business or whatever. You're telling me now I can't buy an incandescent light bulb even if I want to, just like as a one-off?
Yeah.
Like there's something really wrong about that,
And I'm sorry, I'm getting fluorescent lights and then incandescent lights a little bit confused. The fluorescent lights, those are the ones that emit
Yeah. They're the ones in hospitals.
Yeah. Those are the ones I'm talking about. So I'm kind of surprised that again, I think this is attacking more of the consumer base aspect. It's like our regular light bulbs, which I mean, realistically, they should be changing laws for these companies to say, hey, we want your light bulbs to last longer now. Now, the average LED light bulb does last about 10 years. That's something that did change. Typically, your normal light bulb, it's always lasted 15 hours or 1500 hours, sorry, for 100 years. It was kind of the standard because they made it the standard. Now things have changed a little bit. So, okay, great. Here, Lindsay, you have this up now. Can you zoom in a little bit, Lindsay? So how it works. Yeah, gas. The heated gas produces ultraviolet light that's the fluorescent light bulbs. So,
well, okay, down here it says lifespan. So number of 60-watt equivalent bulbs required to supply 20 million lumen hours. There's 22 versus 3 fluorescent versus 1 LED. Yeah, but the LEDs look trash, man.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Like I think the healthiest for your eyes are the incandescent.
Right. And honestly, okay, so there's a minimum. So what they're requiring now is a minimum of 45 lumens per watt. The standard incandescent light bulb has about 15 lumens right now. So that's one of the reasons why they're saying hey, but it's just, I feel like everything they're doing is attacking the consumer overall instead of the actual companies. Now I guess whatever's in the market will be sold. And then after that, it's like, hey, you can no longer manufacture these anymore. So it doesn't apply to a bunch of stuff like the lights you have in the fridge, black lights, bug lamps, colored lamps, infrared lamps. The list kind of goes on. Floodlights, reflector lamps. So I mean, there's a lot still going on there, but I mean, like I said, the good thing about LED lights, they do last longer. But so I guess the ban is only on the manufacture and sale of light bulbs that produced fewer than 45 lumens per watt. So if there is an incandescent light bulb that is more than 45 lumens, then I guess it's okay to be on the market.
And maybe they'll create them now because they have to.
That's the other aspect too. Yeah. So it's just really, I mean, first they're like, oh, we need to ban gas stoves. So in New York, they banned that, they're going after, it's just, I feel like what this will do is create more things for them to go after, restricting us more and more and more. So it's like, oh, well, now we want you to buy this. Like already, Biden also wants to have by 2035, all cars have about somewhere around 50 something miles per gallon. You know, which sounds good on the surface, like, oh,
Yeah, but
well,
no,
yeah,
now you can't buy SUVs anymore that are actually powerful,
that's going to be the
or
problem. What
trucks.
is every single car going to be like a hybrid car, which actually costs a lot more? And two, it's like restricting the consumers even more, and then they can even control this as well. So okay, 40 miles per gallon by 2026, but by 20, I think it was
Yeah,
like by 2035 or something, they want to have like 56 or
yeah,
60.
but 40 miles per gallon for any type of like flatbed truck, not possible.
Mhm.
Like
Right.
those are getting anywhere from 20 to 25 miles per gallon. So it's like, what do you do? Well, now they'll have to make cars that have much weaker engines that can't pull things. Now humans can't get around as easily in the United States. Like again,
That's
you're overreaching. You're not letting us decide how we're spending our money on gas, and you're making this entire narrative around what gas is doing. It
yeah. And I feel like, okay, granted, we definitely have an issue with pollution and all these things, but I feel like they're using climate change as a weapon against the mainstream consumer out there, instead of turning around and going to these companies and saying, hey, actually plastic creates more pollution than anything else in the world right now. It's causing more issues health wise. It's polluting our waters, it's polluting our airs and or our air. And you know, you don't have any government organization saying we need to go after the plastic companies, you know, for creating this issue. It's just like, oh, let's just go after this
it's our
consumer.
fault for you giving me a straw.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like, we're going to take away your gas stoves. Um, really, how much gas does you know, and like most people now, I mean,
Well,
unless
also
you're like
it's
in
like
the
all
old
these
city.
straws being found in the ocean that are strangling fish and whatever wildlife. It's like, did you think about the companies that are responsible for dropping all of that trash in the ocean? How about that? Like,
Yeah.
why is that? Like, people throw straws away. They're not just going out into the ocean and dropping a bunch of straws there for like sea life to strangle. Like, what companies are doing that?
Right.
And then
Exactly.
we're the ones somehow getting blamed for it. It's just bizarre. The whole thing is
Yeah.
weird.
Well, the other aspect too is trash. You know, that was my concern with all these light bulbs. Is like, what I mean, at least they're going to allow them to all be sold, because otherwise they're all just going to end up in landfills, and that's not good. But I mean, this is going to be an ongoing issue. You know, all these companies are so focused on their ESG scores and not sustainability, which you know, realistically, that needs to be the focus, because how much products are getting recycled? They're not even being recycled. Most of the tech products are getting dumped in other countries, which we actually will get into in
Well, and
our whole
not just
series.
that, but you and I did a bunch of research on recycling, and only like 9% of the things you put in recycling actually get recycled. So why? It's just
100%.
for show. It's
Yeah.
literally just for show. Like it hasn't. Why in the world am I separating out my recyclables when you can only recycle 9% of the stuff that? Just tell me what the 9% is, and I'll recycle
Right.
those. Like,
Yeah.
what is this? You know?
Yeah.
It's
And
like
what's weird,
you've created a bunch of jobs for all of these people, and then they're literally 9%. They're 9% effective
I know, it's so
or
weird.
needed. Their
Yeah.
jobs, you know.
And the other aspect too is, you know, some of these LED lights that you buy now at the store, they're Bluetooth connectable. So you can connect your phone to them, you know, which makes it convenient, because you can like, oh yeah, I'm going to change my lighting or whatever using my phone. But now you have to download an app for it to work. That app is probably made by some Chinese company. And it's now connected to other things in your phone. So that is also my concern. So I don't like to really use a lot of my, like, I don't really have any apps connected like my Bluetooth at my house, except for like, you have no choice with your TV, you know, in most cases, or something like that. But appliances, like, why do I need to have my my alarm clock connected to my iPhone, you know.
Yeah.
like a Bluetooth connection. I mean, it's just, I don't know, there's just weird things out there, and that always like gets me a little bit weary on like why are they doing this? And
Well,
honestly, it just
I
gives
think
them.
a lot of these companies too are trying to get ahead of other companies and have more convenience. So they create this like they can just it helps sell their products to say that there's Bluetooth connectivity and you can manage it from your phone.
Yeah,
You know, so then everybody's doing that too.
yeah, it's true. And the thing about this light bulb conspiracy going back, you know, that's what it's literally called, because it was, you know, a conspiracy is when more than one person conspire to do something in secret. I mean, that's really all it is, and that's what happened in real life, and they got in trouble for it. But it's pretty insane how they were able to control the entire light bulb industry. So and more than that too. But yeah, so I don't know. This is just really weird. I mean, you know, in the short term, it's like, oh yeah, this is good. But in the long term, it's just, I feel like it's just going to give them more like kind of a segue to be like, oh, well, let's ban this, let's ban this, let's ban this, let's ban this. And, you know, and then pretty soon we're just going to be like extremely restricted on where we can go and what we can do.
Yeah, which is,
Like
I mean, already it's like that already.
It sure is.
Slowly happening. Every day there's a little bit more progress in having less personal freedom. And at some point it's just gonna turn into something that they can't handle. People are it's gonna go too far.
I agree. Well, why don't we this is a good way to show a trailer, and when we get back we'll talk about the Canadian
Debacle. The Canadian news debacle.
The other ban that took place.
Right. All right, let's do it.
The planet is dying. Reduce, reuse, recycle. We're made to feel guilty for causing climate change. But what if this is a bigger agenda, being financed by big oil itself? In Edge of Wonder's explosive series, The Big Oil Industrial Complex, we ask, is it all a big scam?
When it comes to oil, it does so much more than just provide our gas. Yet, people know very little about how much oil goes into creating one of the biggest potential health threats on the planet right now: plastic.
Bike to work. Watch your carbon footprint. Don't use plastic straws. Are the companies pointing fingers really the ones responsible for the destruction?
Why are there plastics in our blood? And if everyone cares so much, then why is there not more pressure on these massive companies to make changes? Who's really behind it all, and why are they doing this?
Is the focus on profits making these industries turn a blind eye to what they are really doing to our bodies?
Nowadays, plastic is in everything, including all bubblegum.
Get ready for an expose that will turn the oil industry on its head.
You won't believe what we found.
Oh, Canada. Oh, that was our Big Oil Industrial Complex series. If you guys haven't seen it, kind of like we were saying before, for some reason, we're usually a little bit ahead of, for some reason, stuff that's about to drop. I don't know why, but the Big Oil Industrial Complex was one of those things as well.
Yeah.
With all of this news kind of coming out about plastic, what it's doing to our bodies, we really expose all of that. And it gets into the history, the really dirty history of PR and propaganda in the world and how it developed. Mm-hmm. So this is actually a fabulous series if you want to learn more about that and have some really interesting facts for those, those family barbecues that you have in the summer where everyone's talking about stuff and don't really know what's going on. So definitely check that out if you can support our work. It's only $9.99 a month on rise.tv, and you can join our awesome community who's over here talking to us right now, and they're all fabulous people, really funny, really we have a great time over there. So
yeah, seriously. The other thing, actually, while we were playing this trailer, I was thinking about prices of stuff, and I don't know, as a result, it could be like, oh, well, hey, we can't do these anymore, so we're going to we have to raise the price, due to government restrictions or whatever it is, so that could potentially happen too. So that's, I don't know. Like I said, though, I just worry more and more that this will give them room to slowly take away things such as what's happening in Canada. So,
what is happening in Canada?
Yeah. Okay. So Canada passed this Online News Act, and there was some confusion on really what this was and what happened. Like, some people thought it was an act to actually stop Canadians from accessing news, kind of like what's happening in China and all the censorship, maybe. And that could have been like inadvertently what they were planning. I'm not really sure. But however, what this was that they want, with all these tech companies, Google, Facebook, of course, Instagram is connected to Facebook, and all these other tech companies, they felt that on like news media companies should be getting some kind of compensation for people visiting, like for these platforms sharing their content, because it's boosting, views, it's boosting usership on these platforms. And so it's, hey, since these articles are being like viral on Facebook and Instagram, Google should be paying out a little bit to these media corporations.
Why though? Why, like, that doesn't make any sense. Why would news media pay?
It's like, I guess, yeah. I mean, and that's where the debate takes place. Should media or social media companies, like Twitter is one of them as well, should they do that? I don't know. Yeah, in some ways I can understand it, because it's kind of like, okay, here's like free content, everyone is sharing these things. But at the same time, it is boosting these media corporations and companies.
Hold on. So if for you on YouTube, for instance, if a news media's show gets a lot of views and YouTube is creating or generating revenue from ads that it's pumping in there, then it makes sense for YouTube to pay those media companies for the ads that they put on there and share. Like, there's like ad share, right?
Right.
If that's not going on.
So it's different. It's not like a media company is posting their own stuff on Facebook. That's different. It's like if you and me post something from some media in Canada, while we're in Canada, we're like, oh, hey, look, I found this article, I'm posting it, and it goes viral. They're saying that media company should get some kind of compensation because I made a post that went viral using that article. So it's like they should get something, Now, in another aspect, maybe I should get some compensation too, because I'm the one that originally shared it, right?
I'm saying, like, where does that, like, where do you start that conversation? Like,
yeah. So
is it the tweet or is it the article? Like, the person another article.
In retaliation, Facebook completely blocked all Canadians from accessing media content, news articles on Facebook right now.
That way they don't have to pay money for somebody posting. That's so weird.
It's very weird. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know if this was inadvertently like, well, if we do this, we're going to be looked at as like some kind of crazy dictatorship, like Trudeau. And so it's like, oh, what if we do this way? Facebook's going to retaliate. We were like, well, we didn't have anything to do with it, but in reality, maybe this is what they were actually trying to do, knowing that Facebook was going to respond this way. I don't know. That sounds totally crazy, but then again, it is Justin Trudeau. So
I have I really actually think that a large portion of it is that. I think that I can't no, I'm not trying to be critical here, really, but it's like I just feel like there's a very big disconnect with reality and what some of these people in power think. Like they're in their own world or something, and they don't really understand what they're doing or saying when they say it, and then there's repercussions for the things that they rule.
Yeah, that could be. And Facebook, Meta, they actually have a post on their official website talking about this directly, and they have that, and then some people, actually some fans of ours in Canada, were sending me some screenshots of what they were getting when they were trying to access various news articles on Facebook. So Lindsay, can you pull this up, this changes to availability on our platform?
She's pulling it up right now.
She's getting it. So this is on Meta's official site, and it just gives this long-winded answer, but it's basically saying, in response to the Online News Act, content from global news outlets, including news publishers and broadcasters, will not be available to people accessing Facebook and Instagram in Canada. People in Canada will no longer view or share news on Facebook and Instagram, including news content posted by news outlets.
That's really weird.
They can no longer see links or content from any news outlet, pages, or accounts. This is just insane.
It's like the whole purpose of, you see, the reason why this doesn't make any sense is like the whole purpose of those news media are to publish news and to get it passed around so that there's more traffic on their site, and then they can make money off of the traffic on their site.
Yes.
So it's like, and they get SEO. So there's more people, like a good SEO score, and then more people are coming to their site naturally. And then they can sell advertisement on their site. They can sell all kinds of other things. So isn't this completely, neutralizing a media's ability to make money in the first place?
Well, the other thing, the other thing is too, what about the news publishers themselves? Do they agree with this? Are they against it? So this is an example of what comes up if you're in Canada and you're trying to access certain news articles. Why can't I view, or why can I share or view news content on Facebook? And this is what you will get. So I don't know if it's for everybody, if it's just a certain, maybe like, yeah. Anyway, it's really, really weird. So and the other option is, the other aspect is, I'm sorry, is there has been a lot of information coming out about Canada, and a lot of videos of Trudeau like doing his thing, and people not happy in Canada, when they see him, and a lot of things are going viral. So that's why it kind of makes me wonder. I wonder if this is more the issue.
Well, yeah, it's clear that they can't really take criticism over there. Like,
but I feel that aside from that, let's just look at it more in like a very innocent way. Aside from that response to it, it's also kind of like, okay, wait, here's like politicians making policies and regulations out for like, and this is affecting the dollar line of companies now.
The bottom
Because like
line.
any media in Canada right now is going to be hurting financially. So I don't understand how they can pass this when we're dealing with actual companies. Like Facebook is a company, you have these media companies. So I just doesn't make sense. Like I just hope this is not something that they'll pass in New York or in the US.
Yeah, but Twitter would never do that.
Right.
Like,
I
well,
can see Elon changing.
Yeah, I mean, it's government, right? So it's like they look at this light bulb thing. Like we have any control over that? It doesn't matter how bad they're screwing over these companies, how bad they're screwing over us. They're still making this law that keeps us from buying the light bulb that we want to buy.
Right. Yeah. Or the cheaper one.
It's sort of like, yeah, it's like exactly like with cars. It's like, yeah, I know how much it's going to cost to keep up that Lamborghini. I know how much gas it's going to burn, but I want a Lamborghini, right? It's my choice to buy the Lamborghini or not. And then I have to pay for all of the problems that come along with it. Mm-hmm. Now I can't buy a Lamborghini, which is the incandescent light bulb that I want, because you're not letting me. Like, what are you talking about?
Did you actually, speaking of Lamborghini, did you hear what they announced?
What did they announce?
They are no longer making Lamborghinis with gas engines.
Well, okay, so they learned from what Tesla was doing.
They're all for now. Like they sold the last one, and for here on out, all Lamborghinis are going to be electric.
You know what I want to say?
Yeah, and I'm like, dude, they're
effed.
That's not going to happen. People, you don't buy a Lamborghini for being an electric.
Yeah, it's like vehicle. No one wants a silent Lamborghini, dude. Those guys buy it literally to be douchebags in the middle of Miami and rev the engine at a light.
Yeah, that's what they do. So I can't imagine. Like maybe the like here they're showing more of the SUV hybrid, like the what is it? I forget what it's called. Urus, or I can't remember. Yaris, something like that. Something like that anyway. And it's like, okay, I can understand maybe that one, but even still, that one, the engine in that thing is insane because it has a normal Lamborghini engine in it. So if they're going all electric, I mean, if you have the money to buy one, then why would you buy a Lamborghini at this point? It's like, well, like you said,
you're buying a Lamborghini so that you can show up at a light with like a bright yellow or red Lamborghini and rev the engine and fly past the light as soon as it turns green.
Yeah. And
that's why you bought it.
So
right.
I would imagine Ferrari sales are going to be, they're actually going to go up at this point.
Yeah.
And all the other.
These people are just like, this is the ESG score in effect.
Yeah.
It's like Bud Light, dude. I went to a concert the other day and it was in the South. Let me just say that. We're talking about thousands and thousands of people, Ben. Mm-hmm. I did not see one person drinking a Bud Light, and they were available at every store.
Wow.
Every other beer was being drank. Bud Light was not one of them. I can't even tell you. I said it out loud. I was like, no one's drinking Bud Light. And then this guy turned to me and said something really funny that I can't say on I can't say it here, but I will tell you later.
No, that's really funny. That's really funny. All right. Yeah, you can tell me after the show. Sure. All right, Lindsay, why don't we go into the trailer, and then when we get back, we're gonna dive right into all this UFO stuff because there's a lot to talk about. A lot is coming out with it. So why don't we do that now?
Sounds good.
War, conquest, death. Most World War II historians will highlight the politics of the time, but gloss over the truth behind Hitler's quest for power. The blood-spattered trail the Nazis smeared across the globe cannot be forgotten even today. But what if details were lost in the aftermath of the manic effort to create a Third Reich? Or what if they were left out of the history books on purpose? What if the Nazis were searching for something else? Particular artifacts Hitler had researched feverishly in his darkest days. Objects so extraordinary, he believed they held the answer to world domination. Objects that had the power to change the course of history itself. These were the relics of power. Of all the relics the Nazis sought to find, there was one valued above the rest. One that would secure the destiny of their rule and guarantee it for 1,000 years to come. One with a history that began in antiquity, the most mysterious of all the relics, the Spear of Destiny.
Yeah, the Relics of Power series. Actually, earlier, there was someone that posted a really cool comment here on our Rise TV chat from Sa M. So my 8-year-old son and I binged the Relics of Power series Saturday night. That was great. Very cool. Great series. It's the real life story of, Indiana Jones, not the man, but the story itself of the Nazis going to look for these relics and why they were doing that and what power these relics are said to have really and what they would do to the person that held those relics in their hand. It's a really, really cool series. So definitely check that out if you like to know all about that stuff, which is pretty fascinating to me.
Very cool. So, Rob, Ryan has a really important question for you. So was it Nickelback that you went to go see?
I would rather die a painful death than go to a Nickelback concert.
I just thought that was really funny. Like, dang, why didn't I think of that first? Yeah, anyway, this is our what Lindsay's showing right now is our whole entire massive there's a lot of episodes. I don't even know how many episodes we did in this series, but it was a lot, and they were done in a very documentary style.
There were nine episodes.
Nine them all right, let's get into some UFO news. So okay, Lockheed, this is really fascinating. So what is that news? I keep wanting to say Newsmax, but it's not Newsmax. The one that came out with the
News Nation, dude.
News Nation. Thank you. Yes, thank you. So they asked actually asked a few different government contracting agencies. I think Skunk Works, Lockheed Martin, and a couple others. And the only response they got back was from Lockheed Martin. And it was a very interesting response.
Really?
I assumed that they wouldn't even get a response. So let's just play this. We'll talk about what we think of this.
So we decided to ask some of these defense contractors straight up, are they, as alleged, housing and keeping some of these UAPs or UFOs that are not from Earth in their possession? And are they trying to reverse engineer them? We asked basically all the major contractors, and just one got back to us today, and it was Lockheed Martin. And let's put it up on your screen here. This is what they said. They told us here in a very short statement in response, quote, questions about UAPs are best addressed by the U.S. government. Notably, Elizabeth, that is not a denial. So we decided to ask some of these defense contractors straight up, are they, as alleged, housing and keeping some of these UAPs or UFOs that are not from Earth in their possession? And are they trying to reverse engineer them? We asked basically all the major contractors, and just one got back to us today, and it was Lockheed Martin. And let's put it up on your screen here. This is what they said. They told us here in a very short statement in response, quote, questions about UAPs are best addressed by the U.S. government.
All right.
Surprisingly, Elizabeth, that
keeps playing over and over again.
Yeah, but it's like, yeah, that he's right. They didn't deny it. I was actually kind of shocked when I saw their response, because you would think they would. I feel like they would craft that question a little bit. For one, I'm even surprised they even responded, because no one else did. And to me, it kind of shows like they are. I mean, we all know they are.
They just threw the U.S. government under the bus.
They did.
They were like, well, they contract us. Ask them. They're the ones that gave us all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And asked us to do things with it. Why don't you ask them?
And I mean, from what I know from talking to so many of these guys, it's like you can't really ask questions. It's like, here, like, study this, whatever, it's like, where did this come from? Oh, you don't really know. You're just like, okay, here's this, and that could literally be what happened. It's like, the U.S. government or the military drops off this craft at Lockheed Martin and just says, do what you can with this. We can't tell you anything more about it.
Right.
Figure it out. Let us know. Give us the technology. You keep the money. So that seems to be a lot of common theme on this. All right. There's some really interesting things that have been happening over the last week. And Rob and I actually were having this conversation before we started the show. And we both have kind of different views over what's going on. So I think this is kind of cool to bring this up. This guy named Sean Kirkpatrick, he is the director of All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, the RO. Now, there's like these different, there's like the ATIP, there's this RO, and there's something else, and of course, oh yeah, what's so weird is that Mitch McConnell was behind one of these programs, and then he's the one that froze up last week. We forgot to talk.
What do you mean he froze up?
Lindsay, while we're talking about this, can you see if you can find that? It's so weird what happened. And we were trying to show it last Friday, but I ran out of time with Simon and we didn't get to it. But so this guy comes out saying that essentially he said the hearing was insulting to the officers in the Department of Defense and intelligence community who joined RO, which is specialized department of the DoD tasks with studying UFOs. So I think because from their standpoint, they're doing these research, and I don't think they're actually seeing these crafts firsthand. It's just like stuff that they're seeing in the sky, reports that they're following through and things like that. What's really strange is that the Biden administration completely distanced themselves from this Sean Kirkpatrick guy, which kind of shows me that they're supporting more what's going on with this. I feel like it's more of a soft, controlled disclosure. And if the Biden's administration is behind it, that kind of gives me a red flag.
Well, wait a minute, though. You're jumping to a lot of conclusions here. What does a distancing? What does that kind of mean?
Well,
if they're distancing themselves from Sean Kirkpatrick, what do you think that means?
Well, my guess is that they're actually more leaning towards supporting what David Grush is saying. It's just not.
I don't think that's what's going on. I think they don't want to get involved in comment, and they're trying to stay under the radar. Like, why would you want to throw in on this conversation when it makes the entire U.S. look like they've been holding things from the world for this long? Also, Biden isn't necessarily the most capable orator, if you haven't noticed.
No, that is very true too.
Him having to comment on this might be a complete disaster.
Oh yeah, I actually don't think he would.
I don't think he would either, but it's easier my point is it's easier for the White House to distance themselves because he can't speak well than it is for them to start talking about it and have Biden actually have to make a statement.
Right. Now, the question I'm wondering about is actually this Sean Patrick guy. I don't know. I think he's a Democrat. That's what I want to look more into right now, actually, which doesn't really matter too much either way, to be honest. I mean,
well, let's play this Mitch clip that you were
yeah, let's play that.
we're on a path to finishing the NDA this week. It's been good bipartisan cooperation and a string of
What in the world?
Yeah, dude. Keep watching.
Is he an alien?
That's what everyone's asking.
Look it.
Watch.
Is he having a stroke?
He's not even blinking. He's not blinking.
Dude, this is MK Ultra stuff.
Yeah, this is weird. And then watch what happens. It's not until they touch his arm.
No,
And then
he just had some kind of incident, dude.
Well, that's what people are saying. Did he have a stroke? But it doesn't seem. I mean, if he's having a stroke, like I don't. His eyes just froze. Like he didn't blink.
No,
it's like a robot that just
that was very similar to a person having a stroke.
Okay, I mean, he could have been. He really could have been. Everyone's been, from what I could find on this, there hasn't really been any official announcement of what's going on with this. So I don't know. Anyway, well, yeah. So I really actually want to find out if there's anything more. So, but Mitch McConnell I think he was the one that was backing the ATIP stuff. And so Sean Kirkpatrick, he's the head of the RO office. That's within the DoD that investigates UFOs and UAPs. That's kind of why I think he's against this, simply because, you know, it kind of goes against the official Pentagon narrative. It's like, no, we don't have any craft. We don't have any aliens. You know, we're researching this stuff. We're looking into it. But it's almost like I think this is kind of a fake group, the Arrow group. I don't know. I think all this stuff is so compartmentalized within the Pentagon and within the government. It's probably like no one knows anything of what's going on. And then on top of that, you have a very few select people that actually do know what's going on. That's contracting out to organizations and companies like Lockheed Martin. Therefore, everything's off the books. So therefore, most people within the government in the Pentagon wouldn't really know what's going on unless they have like very high level clearance to help them understand what happened.
Well, which is why this Grush leak is so interesting. We haven't had a leak like this in years. So of course, at the beginning of this entire thing, I'm like very, very suspectful.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but watching what's been going on, I'm more likely to believe that we have a very interesting intersection of actual whistleblowers coming out for different reasons. And I don't think it's necessarily, let's put it this way. They have, okay, no matter what time this information came out, no matter when this information came out, there is a laundry list of stuff they could be releasing this information at this time for, like, to basically
a whole bunch of stuff.
The Biden administration is constantly in this like situation where there's all of this stuff getting exposed about what was happening in Ukraine, Russia, Burisma, all of that stuff. Right?
Yeah, and the same day they had the Hunter Biden hearing was the same day that they had this hearing.
Well, and some of that could have been orchestrated because what we're talking about here is like the best opportunists of all time. It's like if this information is going to come out, use it, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like the information that's getting leaked is like way bigger than I think anyone would have imagined, because what it's doing is it's causing a massive, like it was a massive domino effect where you have this Eric Hecker and then all of the stuff with Mike Schratt that you just came out with is now like being looked at anew.
Well, it is, but that was actually, that's so completely separate. So
I know that
Stephen Greer and them were planning this, and then around the same time, David Grush came out, and I know that's why I kind of feel like they're like, hey, all this information is about ready to be dropped, which is really big stuff. the information that Stephen Greer's team came out with was massive because it's happening right now. Some of the whistleblowers that came forward, it's stuff that they saw within a couple years. David Grush and the thing is with David Grush, he hasn't seen anything personally. He's saying, oh, this is what this person told me based on documents that I saw. So it's like, why not bring the real whistleblowers forward? Why is David Grush the one that's kind of the one doing all this when he's not really, he didn't have any first-hand
What do you
experience?
mean? What do you mean he's not a whistleblower? He read all of the classified documents, and every single one of those people came to him to reveal what they knew. So he is a legitimate whistleblower.
Yes, but why not have the ones that came forward to him come forward?
Well, because they value their life. They're not running for their life. Like, this is classified information. You're not allowed to come forward with this. Like, we're honestly,
which makes him safe.
For one perspective, we're lucky this guy came forward at all. Who knows why he decided to come forward? But it's like I hear what you're saying. Like, why didn't those people come forward? It's like, well, because they're not allowed to, and no one in their right mind is going to do that if it's classified information that basically by pain of death you're going to die if you reveal, right?
That could be.
Why hasn't any of this other stuff gotten disclosed? It's because people don't want to lose their life.
Yeah, but the other aspect too is that what David Grush is claiming, it's like Roswell stuff, and this is stuff that's 80 years old, basically. You know, but this really old stuff where it's like, okay, we're starting. It's like, wow, we're still talking about things that happened like 80 years ago. You know?
I don't think so. No, like if you watch that interview, that News Nation interview, David Grush is talking about a lot more than just he is stating Roswell was a thing. He's also opening up about all of this new information regarding the Italians passing exotic craft over. He's talking about exotic propulsion, and it hasn't lessened Eric Hecker's reveal. It has strengthened his reveal in a really unsuspecting way. Like normally I would think, oh, well, this is just hiding Eric Hecker, but it hasn't hid Eric Hecker. It's made his case much stronger. And Eric Hecker now he's getting put on a bunch of shows being interviewed where his information is getting out even further. So It's almost like this weird, perfect storm of information coming out at the same time.
Yes. You know, but I feel like this goes along with the narrative with the Tic Tac UFO that went with the New York Times. I just feel like it's all it's the same people.
Well, okay.
When you're starting to look into David Grush and all the people that's around him, it's the same people that are talking about the Tic Tac UFO, the same people that are talking about all these things that have kind of happened the last couple of years, but it's like also what they're not talking about.
No, dude.
So,
the Tic Tac. Okay, if you're going to whistleblow on this stuff, the easiest reference point that you have is the Tic Tac UFO stuff, which has just been everywhere over the last few years.
Right.
But David Grush is specifically talking about he's coming out and saying things like the Tic Tac UFO thing was like, well, we don't know where this is from. We don't know what this is. We don't know if this is an otherworldly craft. Let's just have this discussion round and round. This guy's like, yeah, the Tic Tac UFO is a thing. He's like, but there are exotic craft that we've had, and there's people that have lost their lives from working on this stuff. Like, it's a way
well, that's the stuff that David Greer, the people that went with David Greer, that's the stuff that they were talking about. I mean, because the thing that I think David Greer, what they were more focusing on,
Stephen Greer,
why is it David Grush? Because
of David Grush.
Yeah. Thanks, Stephen Greer. I think the more focus was what the technology is being used now and how it's being used and how dangerous it is. You know, that was more the focus that Stephen Greer was really focusing on. With this, it's like no media is asking these questions about the tech. It's like, okay, we'll talk about ET bodies, we'll talk about craft, but we won't talk about technology.
Actually, though, I also disagree, because in my research, I'm finding even The Hill interviewed a separate guy, the guy that was he was one of the whistleblowers with the Twitter files, and he's been researching all of this stuff along with these whistleblowers coming out, and all of them are talking about exotic technologies that we've never seen.
Because CNN's talking about anti-gravity craft, right? I mean, they're bringing this up, but it's like, that's why I'm saying, well,
but the domino effect is making it so like guys like Schratt that you interviewed,
well,
now
it's
all of their work is being looked at anew.
It is. I mean, this is the positive thing. I think by this coming out, whether this was a distraction from everything else that's going on in the world right now, or the Epstein client list that we still haven't yet to see.
Of course we want that. Like I would much
it
rather
is
have
still
that
good.
discussion. But the thing is there
and I do think he's legit. I don't think Grush is lying at all about anything he's saying. But the key person we talked when you and I were talking about last week, I think is John Clapper. I'm like, why out of all people is this guy behind him?
I think I know why he was there.
Yeah,
I really do. And I don't think it's why you think he was there. I think you think he was there because he's a part of this whole thing.
I do. I mean, I'm totally convinced on that.
I don't. I think
he would not be there if he wasn't.
My opinion on this is like, okay, if let's just say Grush really did release this stuff and he is like worried about his life. Let's say that that's true. James Clapper showing up there and Grush having to see him in the audience as a threat is a totally like
he wasn't. No, he's supporting what he's doing because he's sitting with Jeremy Corbell. He was sitting with
I know,
with,
dude.
The George.
I know what you're saying, but it might not be that in reality. He could be. He might have to support what he's doing for his own, like for whatever it is. Him showing up in that audience. Point. Do you know what I mean? Like that's a very clear message to Grush, who knows more than anyone else about what's going on. So that could go either way. I
guess so.
And I'm not saying I'm right here either.
Yeah. We'll have to keep seeing things.
And sitting in Grush, like standing in his shoes, is a very different thing than us kind of like looking, at it.
Well, they were like Jeremy Corbell. He's the one on the right. He's the one he came out. He got more recently. He's the one that got Bob Lazar to come out publicly. They did a documentary on him. So this guy that we're looking at right now, that's just James Clapper. He's the one that's, sitting behind David Grush there. But I just feel that this whole thing it's too well organized. That's why it's just making me question not the narrative, because I think that he could have very easily said things very differently to be more precise and clear about what they actually saw, what they have, and what he has seen. So I think that the fact that he chose his words so carefully, it was very well organized and planned. It was almost like a script, and he delivered it so perfectly.
I know. I saw it. I was like, this guy's very careful in what he says, but in his position that he was in, he had to learn how to be that way. And the other thing is, some of this could be, well, hey, this is happening at a convenient time. Let's push this out and get it all over the news so that we can cover a bunch of this other stuff up. That could very well be. It's like it's opportunism at its finest, but it really is potentially releasing a bunch of stuff while they do that they can't now hide anymore, Because there's certain things that are going on where it's like way beyond. And I have a feeling that it is mostly because of Grush's position in the military previously. This is the highest level whistleblower dealing with these situations that's come out. Like, it's massive. So I don't think they can avoid having really quick, decisive, hearings on this stuff.
Right. But that's the other thing that's really weird, though. All the media has just been lashing onto this, talking about it 24/7.
I know.
And CNN, and I'm like, what the heck, But the fact that all the media is talking about it right now, it's like making me question, like, okay, they want to talk about this, they're being asked to talk about it. Why?
Right. And honestly, that might be the part where it's like, well, it's better to talk about this than it would be to talk about what's going on in the White House right now.
Yeah, that's why I think that's why I think maybe that the timing of it, this might have been okay, if you're going to do it, like this is the time to do it. Maybe that's more what, it's just the timing is just so.
The other thing too is I really think as a society, now, like you and I almost have been trained to be like very suspectful of someone coming out whistleblowing and seemingly
100%.
having an easy time about it. Because it's like, how many people have died from trying to whistleblow on like much lamer things?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So when someone actually does it and slips through the cracks, it's like, could this be real? Really? Like, of course.
Well, no, I do think it's real. I'm not questioning whether it's not real or is real. I'm just questioning the narrative behind.
That's what I mean, though,
and who's really behind it. Who's the one that's really pushing us forward?
It's like it's hard to not just be like this. Who's behind this kind of thing? But it's like sometimes people really do slip through the cracks, and there's a whistleblower out there.
Yeah, I agree. But when all the media are latching onto it on both, well, especially on both sides, it's I don't know, but it's just one of those things where I want to keep watching this. Like I said, it's not that I don't think this is a good thing at all. I think this is good. What's happening? It's gotten a lot more people to be, aware of what's going on with UFOs and everything that's happening, and especially aliens. I think all of this is good. I just am, just a little bit weary on
of course
everybody who's around him and what's going on, and I'm just going to see what happens with it, and hopefully more things come out, and hopefully more whistleblowers come out, and that is what's happening. But the media has been silent on any other future whistleblowers. It's like there's only a few that they will talk to, which again all revolves around the same group of people.
But they're not really talking to Grush. Like some of them are, but mostly
they are. Well, they're
him.
reporting what he's saying.
Yeah.
Jeremy Corbell's getting interviewed a lot. You have that Lewis guy who gosh, I can't think of his last name. He's the one that broke the Tic Tac UFO story. He's the one that came out. It was the pilot. And then there's a couple other people all within that group that are all being interviewed, that are on all these shows that are being talked about and everything else. But anybody outside of that, it's like they're not really talking to. And I think that's why I'm a little bit kind of skeptical, just because I'm keep seeing the same people over and over again, and they keep saying the same things over and over again. So I don't know. We'll just see what happens with it. It's very interesting, to say the least. And like I said, I still think this is all good, what's happening. So hopefully it will get more people, and hopefully more things will get disclosed, like how many alien bodies that they have and what's really going on.
Let's we have to get over to the Rise TV, and you wanted to talk about Antarctica, right? So
yeah, we'll
go ahead.
No, what were we gonna say? I was just gonna say, well, we can talk about that.
Let's talk about Antarctica. What's going on there?
Well, are we doing that on Rise, or are we doing it now?
No, we're doing that here because it's.
Oh, we are.
Yeah.
Okay,
we
cool.
Promoted that, dude.
Okay, yeah. So, well, so Antarctica was trending on. It's so weird to call it X. It's like Facebook. I can't call Facebook Meta. I don't think I'll ever be able to call Twitter X. But
I know.
So what's interesting is that, we all know that the temperatures have been insane over the last couple of weeks, all over.
It's warm.
But they're not talking about what's going on in Antarctica. It's been the lowest temperatures since they've recorded it since 2017. It was.
Well, that makes sense because it's really cool up north, I think, right now. Like all in the northern hemisphere, it's super cool.
Well, this is the South Pole, right?
I know, but still, I'm saying
both, right? So if it was global warming, shouldn't it be affecting the entire Earth? And I just feel like they're not talking about the places that are actually a lot colder than normal. So right now, it feels like it's negative 114 degrees right now. That's what it feels like. In Antarctica, it's about negative 70 degrees Fahrenheit right now. like that is like, I don't even know. That's like another planet cold. Yeah. So, and the meanwhile, in like Texas and Florida, it's like record breaking temperatures. And I know in the Midwest too, kind of all over the place. So, it's just really weird. Yeah. Makes you wonder what is really going on here. So what are you looking up, Lindsay? Oh, you're looking up Celsius. So, okay. So for those of you in Canada and UK, I guess. So it's negative 56 degrees Celsius is what's going on. And then it feels like it's a negative 81 degrees Celsius.
Wow.
Like that is so incredibly cold.
Right.
Yeah. There's a place in Russia. It starts with an O. I can't think of the name of it. It's just a long name, and it's the coldest city on the planet. The average temperature is like negative 40 degrees. The average temperature. Yeah.
That's like, it must be way up there.
Yeah. In the summer, I think it gets up to about 30 degrees.
It's like, is anyone
maybe 50?
Is it populated at all?
Yeah. Yeah. It's populated. It starts with an O. When we go over to Rise TV, I'll figure out the name for it. I can't think of it right at the top of my head. But anyway, thought that was fascinating. But the other thing about
the pyramids, right?
The pyramids. So, well, Lindsay's bringing up this article. I think, does it mention this place in Russia? I don't know. Anyway, it's in Russia. Starts with an O. I can't think of it. Nah, it's okay. We'll come back to it, Lindsay. So, can you click on this first link about this was a super fascinating photo. I've been kind of talking about this for a little bit, and it's hard now to find the pyramids on Google Maps in Antarctica, but check out this photo, Rob. So what we're seeing below is the pyramids of Giza. And what we're seeing on the top are the 3 pyramids, supposedly that's in Antarctica. And they seem to match up pretty close.
Yeah, the only thing that doesn't check out for me with this is that this area is open to the public. You can go to this area, and they would not allow that if this was really a pyramid. So I'm more likely to believe that this is a
you can go there, but how many people have how many people have even been to Antarctica, let alone this area? Yeah, like you can't just take you could go there, but it's extremely challenging to get there because it's not that close to the coast. You would have to take
yeah, but it is open is what I'm saying. Like
right.
it's this area that is like public access, whereas most of Antarctica is off limits.
Right. Well, no, leave that up, Lindsay. Well, the other thing is too, is that pyramid in Antarctica has 4 sides and they're perfectly flat on all 4 sides. And they call it a mountain, but it's like, I believe that it really is a pyramid. There's no way that
it's hard, it's hard without being there and seeing it, like see the shadow.
Well,
like, it's hard to say how flat this really is according to the edges.
Oh, you can see it on other angles for sure. I mean, you can find it on Google Maps. We've talked about it so many times. I'm trying to find another image of it.
Hey, don't get me wrong. I want it to be a pyramid, and I think that's down here somewhere. I'm just not sure about this.
Here's another image. It's just because it seems to line up. Gosh, I'm trying to find. It's so hard. Like, there's so many images have been taken down on search engines now.
I know
that. Okay, here's another viewpoint from this. Here, I'll just share it. It's just going to be easier. So this is fascinating because this one takes the circumference of the whole thing. And it does seem to be, I mean, that's, yeah. I mean, my understanding is that I really think it is a pyramid, but they are calling it a mountain. But I mean, that doesn't look like a mountain from that.
Well, we'll just have to wait for Antarctica to melt so we can see it.
Guess so. Yes. All right. Why don't we head over to Rise? Oh, that name of that I don't even know how to pronounce it.
Mayakon?
Is that it?
Well,
Yeah,
that's what it says.
that's it. Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce it. That is
I'm
the
not a
name of it.
Russian expert.
Yeah. It's the
Probably more
coldest
like
place on
Mayakon.
Earth. It's the coldest place on Earth where people live. Let me say that. You know, I mean, I'm sure Antarctica has the coldest places on the planet, but where people live, it's crazy. There's like there's all these, like, you can read all about it and what people that live there, what they have to do to like survive and live.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Crazy.
It's so nuts.
Yeah.
And how their cars, they have to have like very special things on their cars and all these things so they don't freeze. It's totally
I'd love to see one of those people get shipped off to like Florida and watch their reaction there and like what it's like for them.
And I can't imagine that they would have, you know, I don't think it's a very wealthy town, which is probably why people still live there, because they can't afford to move. So I mean, some of them might not have even experienced any like warm climate their entire life. Can you imagine that?
I know. Well, hey, let's get over to rise.tv where we're going to get into our Q&A and our live meditation and prayer.
Sounds good.
All right.
Hidden beneath the Sphinx, there are whispers of a secret. Tucked away in Antarctica, far from the modern world, are ancient monuments and classified military operations. Pyramids found all around the globe may be covering up more than the ancient civilization of Egypt. But go back all the way to Atlantis. What if we uncovered the truth about ancient Atlantis, Antarctica, and Egypt, and how their secrets may change everything we think we know about history? Advanced technology, psychic predictions come true, a Nazi search, and pyramids. Hollow Earth, warm oases, secret military operations, and pyramids, sacred geometry, the Sphinx's hidden treasure, elongated skulls, and the most famous pyramids of all. What do the secrets of our past mean for humanity today? Find out in Edge of Wonders series, Ancient Civilizations. Get your questions ready, because it's time for our live Q&A session exclusively on rise.tv.